Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.
Question 1. Commissions of a licensed real estate broker specializing in property management are: A. Based on the first year's rent. B. Based on a percentage of the gross rents collected. C. Based on a percentage of the rents expected to be collected over the life of the leases. D. Equal to the first and last month's rent. Answer: B. Commissions are usually based on a percentage of the gross rents collected, not those expected over the life of the leases. Question 2. An interest in real property can be acquired through adverse possession or by prescription. The interest acquired by prescription is: A. The right to use the land of another. B. An equitable title. C. A legal title. D. A private grant. Answer: A. A prescription refers to an easement, which is the right to use the property of another. Question 3. In imposing restrictions on a new large subdivision, the most practical method is to: A. Record the restrictions in the manner provided by law and make reference to them in each deed. B. Publish the restrictions in a newspaper of general circulation. C. Post the restrictions on the property. D. Post the restrictions as covenants in all the deeds. Answer: A. It is impractical to place the restrictions in each deed since there are usually a great number of restrictions. It is better to record the restrictions and make reference to them in each deed. Question 4. A broker receives an offer on a property and a prospective purchaser gives him a $1,000 deposit. He places the deposit in his trust account. After all the conditions of the deposit receipt have been fulfilled, the buyer decides that he wants to back out. A. Give the $1,000 to the seller. B. Give the $1,000 to the buyer. C. Keep the $1,000 in his trust account. D. None of the above. Answer: the deposit belongs to the seller, once the conditions of the deposit receipt have been fulfilled. Question 5. When a developer sets up a subdivision, he places certain restrictions on each of the lots. Of these, experience has shown which of the following is least likely to be enforced. A. Limitations on size of each lot. B. Limitations on the dollars allowed for improvements on each lot. C. Limitations on square footage of each home. D. Limitations on the number of stories or total height of structures. Answer: B. Limitations for the amount of dollars allowed for the improvements on each lot is the most difficult type of restriction to enforce, because the value of the dollar changes and thus, the quality of the improvements would change. Question 6. The Hutchinsons, prospective buyers of a home, request a broker to find a loan for them. He would mostly likely contact: A. An institution lender, such as bank or savings and loan association. B. A Federal Reserve Bank. C. The Federal Housing Administration. D. An FHA appraiser. Answer: an institutional lender is more likely to be advancing the funds towards the purchase of a home. The Federal Housing Administration and the Federal Reserve Bank are not lenders in the home loan market. Question 7. Mortgages and trust deeds differ in all of the following ways, except: A. Parties. B. Securities. C. Statute of limitations. D. Title. Answer: B. A mortgage and a trust deed are security interests in property. They provide the legal title to have the property sold in the event that the borrower defaults. Question 8. After 6 lots have been sold in subdivision, the real estate commissioner was informed of misrepresentation in the sales program. The commissioner could halt the sale of more lots by: A. Voiding the public report. B. Attaching the unsold lots. C. Issuing a desist and refrain order. D. Filing an accusation in court. Answer. C. The best course of action available to the Commissioner would be a desist and refrain order. Such an action would immediately halt all future sales for marketing of the property. Question 9. A subordination clause in a trust deed benefits. A. The beneficiary. B. The trustor. C. The trustee. D. None of the above. Answer. B. A subordination clause allows the trustor to obtain a later trust deed which will move into prior position, as regards to payment, in case of default. It is to the trustor's advantage, not to the beneficiaries. Question 10. An agency relationship can be established by all of the following, except A. Agent volunteering. B. Oral agreement. C. Implied statement of law. D. Agreement of principle. Answer. A. An agent cannot volunteer to be your agent. An agency can be established by an agreement with the principal. It can be implied, by your acts, the principal accepts your agency. It can be an oral agreement. Agency does not have to be in writing, but the commission agreement must be in writing.
Passing the real estate exam can be hard, like really hard. Statistically, only about 50% of people actually pass the real estate exam on their first try. Those people that pass, they go on to become real estate agents. And the people that didn't pass, they either give up completely or have to try again. Both of these options are painful, disappointing, and upsetting. Exam Scholar Real Estate Edition has been named as the best real estate exam prep by multiple publications for 7 years in a row. If you are about to take the real estate exam, Exam Scholar Real Estate Edition is a no-brainer choice. There is no other real estate exam preparation service out there that comes close. To enjoy the longest membership time, lowest cost, real estate videos, audios, articles, flashcards, vocabulary, exam tips and tricks, a 1-year no questions asked refund policy, and be one of the 35,000 people that it has helped pass the real estate exam, then sign up in less than 5 minutes at www.realestateexamscholar.com.
Question 1. What does an appraiser do? A. Establish market value. B. Establish estimated property taxes. C. Verify building codes are in conformance. D. Provide written documentation on the state of the property. Answer. The primary task of an appraiser is to establish an estimate of market value through the analysis of data. Question 2. What type of estate is an interest in real or personal property that is limited in duration to the lifetime of its owner or some other designated person or persons? A. An estate for years. B. A leasehold estate. C. A land estate. D. A life estate. Answer. D. The type of estate that is based on the lifetime of its owner or designated third party is called a life estate. Question 3. If a married couple purchases property as tenants by the entirety, neither can obtain a court order for A. Partition. B. Separation. C. Estimation. D. Accrual. Answer. A. Neither person can obtain a court order for partition when a married couple purchases property as tenants by the entirety. This is different than other forms of ownership by a married couple. Question 4. What is the best way to determine if a neighboring property is encroaching on another? A. Obtain a court order. B. Visually inspect the properties in question. C. Obtain a survey. D. Compare land maps of both properties. Answer. C. The best way to determine encroachment is to obtain a professional survey of the property lines. Question 5. Henry is the seller of his home, which was built in 1978. What booklet is Henry required to give a potential buyer? A. Environmental hazards disclosure. B. Lead paint information. C. Flood zone disclosure. D. Asbestos warnings guide. Answer: B. If Henry owns a home that was built in 1978 or earlier, he is required to give any prospective buyers or tenants a lead paint information booklet. Question 6. When a corporation holds title to land, under whose or what name holds the title? A. The Board of Directors. B. The shareholders. C. The corporation. D. The charter. Answer: D. Since a corporation is a fictitious person, the corporation holds property title in the name of its charter. Question 7. An African American family is looking to purchase a house. Their agent has been showing them properties for weeks, all of which are in predominantly African American neighborhoods. This would be an example of A. Blockbusting. B. Steering. C. Isolating. D. None of these. Answer: B. This type of behavior would be an example of steering and is in violation of the fair housing laws. An agent must show homes in any areas in which the client can afford. Question 8. One of the jobs of a property manager is A. Maintaining the property while managing finances. B. Settle disputes with neighbors. C. Personally evict tenants that have not paid rent. D. Operating a log of events on the property. Answer: A. One of the major jobs of a property manager is to maintain the property while managing the financial side of the operation for the property owner. Question 9. If Ivan owns property but has no heirs or will when he dies at age 86, who owns the property thereafter? A. The next blood relative. B. The federal government. C. The state government. D. None of these. Answer: C. In a case in which a person dies owning property but has no heirs or will, property ownership reverts to the state. Question 10. In a case in which a person dies with no will and no heirs to their property, this is called A. Reversion. B. Escheat. C. Accretion. D. Reverse ownership. Answer: B. The state becomes the owner of a property if the owner dies with no will and no heirs through the power of escheat. Question 1. If brokers of different offices agree to set commission rates at a particular level, this would be a violation of A. The J. Edgar Hoover Antitrust Act. B. The Sherman Antitrust Act. C. The Anti-Monopoly Act of 1932. D. The Sherman Antitrust Act. Answer: B. Brokers of differing offices have faced severe punishment by conspiring to set rates because this is a violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act. Question 2. A lease that allows a landlord to collect money based on the amount of sales the tenant's store produces is A. Illegal. B. Called a percentage lease. C. Called a net lease. D. Called a pocket lease. Answer: B. A percentage lease is a lease in which there is a base rent as well as a percentage of the gross sales is due to the landlord after a certain threshold is met. Question 3. The type of listing that is the most risky and open to fraudulent activity is called A. Pocket. B. Bet. C. Exclusive. D. Gross. Answer B. Net listings are when the agent keeps the sales price above a certain amount and can subject the broker and agent to have their licenses suspended or revoked. Question 4. When a building and a land are appraised separately, this is which type of approach to appraisal? A. Market. B. Index. C. Data. D. Cost. Answer D. In the cost approach to appraisal, it is required that the building and land be valued separately. Question 5. What does mortgage insurance cover? A. The amount of the loan in the event of the borrower's death. B. The lender in the event of a loss. C. Job loss or accidents that render a person unable to make mortgage payments. D. Incapacitation of the borrower. Answer B. Mortgage insurance covers a lender from losses. Question 6. What does mortgage life insurance cover? A. Pays off the loan amount in the event of the borrower's death. B. The lender in the event of a loss. C. Job loss of the borrower. D. Incapacitation of the borrower. Answer A. Mortgage life insurance covers the amount of the loan in the event of the borrower's death. Question 7. If Sam wishes to secure a real estate loan with the inventory of his furniture store, under the Uniform Commercial Code this would be A. Legal. B. Legal as long as the inventory equals the loan amount. C. Illegal because the inventory is considered a fixture. D. Illegal because the inventory can be sold and cannot secure a loan. Answer D. Because the inventory will eventually be sold off, this is not sufficient to secure a loan under the Uniform Commercial Code. Question 8. A contract that is binding between the buyer and the seller, as well as conditional delivery of transfer instruments to a third party is required for A. A transfer of title. B. A valid escrow. C. A person to buy a house. D. None of these. Answer E. In order to have a valid escrow, there must be a conditional delivery of transfer instruments to a third party as well as a binding contract between buyer and seller. Question 9. In the case of a cash sale, why would a seller wish to transfer an existing fire insurance policy? A. Because then they don't have to worry about a new policy. B. Because it is more convenient this way. C. Because they will not have to pay a short-term cancellation rate. D. Because there is no need in a cash sale transaction. Answer C. Sellers are typically more likely to want to transfer an existing fire insurance policy because they will not have to pay a short-term cancellation rate. Question 10. If a Chinese person calls an agent and asks to view property in a particular area of town that is known to house many people of Chinese descent, this would be A. An example of steering. B. An example of blockbusting. C. Perfectly legal. D. Illegal. Answer C. In any case in which a person wishes to view a property, regardless of race, this is viewed as a perfectly legitimate opportunity and should be treated as a normal client. Question 1. Which of these instruments does not contain the interest rate, loan amount, term of the loan, and monthly payments? A. Mortgage. B. Deed. C. Lease. D. None of these. Answer. D. None of the listed instruments contain the interest rate, loan amount, term of the loan, or monthly payments. The type of instrument that does contain these is the note. Question 2. Anthony receives a tax bill that is related to cost per front foot and amount of benefit he receives. This type of tax bill would be called A. Eagle. B. Special assessment. C. Front foot assessment. D. None of these. Answer. B. Special assessments are generally repayment to the government for installation of curbs, gutters, and other enhancements. The cost of these is based on the amount of benefit that a particular property receives from the enhancements. Question 3. Retaining a property while at the same time using it as collateral to secure a loan is called A. Promissory. B. Hypothecation. C. Accretion. D. Collation. Answer. B. The act of using property to secure a loan while at the same time retaining the use and benefit of the property is called hypothecation. Question 4. In which clause does it allow for a buyer to be free of recourse in the event of foreclosure? A. Ad hominem clause. B. Dispersal clause. C. Exculpatory clause. D. Extradition clause. Answer. C. An exculpatory clause acts as a non-recourse loan. This means the lender can only look to the property for the satisfaction of the loan. The buyer is not personally responsible for the note. Question 5. Referral fees are legal to be paid if they are given to A. Licensed brokers. B. Licensed agents. C. Anyone. D. None of these. Answer. A. Referral fees are legal to be paid only to licensed brokers. Question 6. The secondary mortgage market consists of which major participants? A. Fannie Mae. B. Ginnie Mae. C. FHLMC. D. All of these. Answer. D. Fannie Mae, Ginnie Mae, and FHLMC are all major participants in the secondary mortgage market. Question 7. What does a general warranty deed contain? A. Covenants that warrant the new owners undisturbed and clear title. B. Covenants that include provisions of a quitclaim deed. C. Covenants regarding quiet enjoyment. D. None of these. Answer. A. Covenants that warrant the new owners undisturbed and clear title are contained in a general warranty deed. Question 8. A general agent has full authority to A. Bind the principal to all agreements. B. Act as attorney at law. C. Act in the bounds of power of attorney. D. Only bind principal to agreements with written consent from the principal. Answer. A. A general agent is a representative of a principal that has the full authority to bind the principal to all agreements. Question 9. The income approach to appraisal uses which kind of rate? A. Market. B. Capitalization. C. Index. D. Consumer. Answer. B. The capitalization rate, or cap rate, is used in the income approach to appraisal and is an analysis of how much investors are willing to spend in a certain neighborhood in return for a certain amount of income. Question 10. Which of these is an example of a general agent that has the authority to make binding decisions on behalf of the principal? A. An attorney at law. B. A real estate agent. C. A real estate broker. D. A property manager. Answer. D. A property manager is a good example of a general agent who has been empowered to make binding decisions on behalf of the principal. Question 1. Which of the following items is usually considered to be a cost of home ownership? A. Land depreciation. B. Improvement appreciation. C. Amenity value. D. Interest lost on the owner's equity. Answer. D. The interest that is lost on owner's equity is usually identified as lock-in equity. This term applies to the fact that the owner cannot utilize the funds for other investment purposes. Question 2. Abel submitted an offer to purchase Blackacre. During the escrow period, a local credit reporting agency submitted detrimental information which Abel contested. Abel made repeated attempts to get the matter corrected and he was denied access to the information reported to the agency. Abel may A. Bring an action to recover punitive damages of no more than $5,000. B. Bring an action in a court of appropriate jurisdiction to recover actual damages. C. After a prescribed time, require the reporting agency to delete such information from the report. D. All of the above. Answer. D. All choices are open to the principal in question. Question 3. Mr. O'Reilly paid an owner $10 for an option containing this clause, option to be for 60 days from June 1, 1967. Upon exercise of option, holder is to purchase within 30 days thereafter for all cash consideration. On July 10, Mr. O'Reilly sold and assigned his option for $1,000. On July 28, the new holder notified the owner that he would purchase on August 15. The owner claimed the option was void. The option was A. Void, because the holder sold it. B. Void, because date of purchase was not within the option period. C. Valid, even though Mr. O'Reilly sold it, but August 15 was too late for date of sale. D. Valid, and assignee could purchase on August 15. Answer. D. Inasmuch as the terms of the option are for all cash consideration and no unsecured promissory note is involved, it must be sold or assigned, because the new holder exercised the option within the 60 days period, before July 30, and purchased the property with 30 days of the exercise date, before August 30, the option is valid. Question 4. Other than non-dischargeable debts of a bankrupt debtor are cut off, discharged. A. Publication of the notice of the petition in bankruptcy. B. Discharge in bankruptcy. C. The first meeting of creditors. D. Filing the petition in bankruptcy. Answer. B. Debts are cut off, discharged, the date bankruptcy court issues a discharge. Question 5. In which of the following ways may an agency relationship not be created? A. Verbal authority. B. Necessity or emergency. C. Post hoc ratification. D. Subordination. Answer. D. Subordination means lie, trickery or deceit, hence, it cannot be a valid way to create an agency. Question 6. A person and his property that is encumbered by a first deed of trust are in Chapter 7 bankruptcy. The court can sell the property and use the proceeds therefrom to pay debts owed to unsecured creditors. B. Holder of the first deed can foreclose. C. Debtor need not make payment on the promissory note secured by the first deed of trust. D. Debtor can sell the property. Answer. A. A Chapter 7 bankruptcy petition creates an automatic stay of a creditor's foreclosure against the debtor. Creditor must file a petition with the bankruptcy court seeking relief from the automatic stay and approval to institute foreclosure action. If the note is oversecured by collateral, the bankruptcy court trustee may sell the property, pay the secured creditor, and use the excess proceeds to pay unsecured creditors. If the debtor does not make payments on the note during the automatic stay, the bankruptcy trustee will pay interest to the secured creditor from the date of petition to the date of sale. Question 7. A loan that is secured on easy terms and with a low down payment usually results in A. Increased financing costs. B. Decreased financing costs. C. No difference in financing costs. D. Faster amortization. Answer. A. The lender is not going to be given easy terms or long-term financing without securing something in return. This usually results in increased financing costs. Question 8. Insofar as a residential neighborhood is concerned, which of the following would offer the least protection against blighting influences on future development? A. Natural or artificial barriers. B. Partially built-up neighborhood. C. New neighborhood in the path of directional city growth. D. All families with similar income. Answer. B. A partially built-up neighborhood would have a definite tendency for blighting, because it was not completed and there would be a potential for vandalism. Question 9. In negotiating certain loans, a broker is required to fill in all of the items on a broker's loan statement form. The following item must be inserted. A. What the borrower intends to do with the proceeds of the loan, less expenses. B. A statement of the value of the property supported by a proper appraisal. C. The date on which the borrower acquired the property. D. The amount that will be charged by a qualified agency to render a report on the financial capacity of the borrower. Answer. D. The loan broker law requires, among other things, that the broker's loan statement contain estimated costs including appraisal, escrow, title, notary, recording and credit investigation. Question 10. Which of the following is not a characteristic of an easement? A. It is an interest which can be protected against interference by third persons.
B. S pause. Second equals 0.80 pause. It is capable of being created by a conveyance.
C. It is considered a non-possessory interest. D. It is an interest that can be terminated at will by the possessor of the land. Answer. D. The possessor of the land is the owner of the land. He cannot terminate the easement at will.
Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.